Hey everyone, welcome back to the stream, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. What are we doing? I got nothing on my desk, right? Well, yeah, that's where you're wrong, because we are working on our Tiger still. And so let's get into it. So, we have this guy here, and we have a turret for him too. And so that's where we are. As you can see, he's actually got some tracks on him now. I spent the last week assembling the tracks for this guy and putting on the cables on him. I have one of his side skirts on there. And so we're going to put this one on today, and we're going to put on the exhaust. So last time we worked on doing some of that light colored version of the paint to get ready for the rust effects. And so I also went ahead and did a little bit of the darker colored rust using my NATO brown, and going in all of those little light areas with the dark. I'll change my camera and we'll see if I can show that to you here. Let's take a look here. So you can see along the edge here, you can see those little dark dots, right? A little bit here, here on the top, in that area. Everywhere where there was a lighter chip, you go inside that light spot with the dark, and there we're getting to the next step of the whole rusting thing. Okay, and so that's that, and that's kind of where I am at right now. There's a few things I want to get put on this before we get to the oh hi Deception Man, before we get to doing more of the rust streaks and the whole rust blending thing. So let's start putting a few things on here. First thing I might as well do, we'll get this other skirt put on this side. We'll get that put on. That's going to go on right here, like so. So let's do that. Because the other side was damaged, I wanted to get that one done and get that kind of perfected and where it's going to sit and everything like that first. So I actually did that about 2 days ago, just so that it's on and it's done and I don't have to worry about it anymore. There we go. We'll let that sit for a few minutes just to dry nicely. Okay, so I just wanna maybe, I don't want it sitting on the other skirt. There, okay. So, before I put the exhausts on, before I put these on, I want to do some black soot inside them. So, that's going to take pigments. And I've got my little box of pigments here, black. So, take my brush. I don't want to go crazy with it because it's just supposed to be exhaust dust, soot, and I want to to do it over just because this stuff is... Now, could I have just done this with regular black paint? Sure, it would work too. This just gives it that little bit of an almost authentic, yes, almost authentic type of look, because it actually is a powder like soot or ash or whatever. And that gives me the opportunity to kind of fade it around the edge. I really should change the camera for you guys so you can see up close a little bit better. There. It's still not perfect, but and that gives me, I can go around the edge like this, and it gives it that look like dirty exhaust has come out of this for a long time, for enough time anyway. Okay, and yes, it is a bit of a messy process. You get it all over your fingers and everything. Where'd my other one go? There it is. Again, it's not something I go crazy over. I just want to make sure it's black. And of course, when I go over this whole thing with the flat clear, you know, that'll bind it together. You know, I don't have to worry about using any binding agents on this part, right? At this point, I could have actually used ashes out of an ashtray and have a similar effect. But then again, who smokes these days? Such a disgusting habit. So there we go. I think that's pretty good. Looks like we've had some black stuff coming out of there now, and that looks pretty authentic. Okay, so that, all right. I'm going to be doing a similar effect in here. So I'll tell you guys what my plan is. So we have a missing wheel, in case you haven't noticed, right here. We got a missing wheel here. Now why is that wheel missing? It's actually missing because I misplaced it. I don't know where the wheel went. I'm pretty sure I had all the wheels, but I don't. Okay? And I don't know what happened. So that's that. And so that's kind of why I decided, hey, this tank is actually damaged and it's not running. You can see the track is ended here and it's kind of pulled apart a little bit right there. And then we don't have any more tracks going along here. I actually have a piece right here that's going to go here and stick out like that. Okay. Because this thing took some shell fire, somebody and destroyed this wheel, took it out and took out the track. The explosion took out this section of the fender even. And so I'm going to put some black in here a little bit, as if, you know, from the explosion. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to do that after I've added some mud to the wheels and everything like that. Okay, so that's the plan for that. Okay, so that's that. I might as well put this away for now. And I'm going to clean my brush. Okay, clean my brush here. you think about it, what are the pigments? The pigments are really just paint without any binder on them, without any thinner, whether it's a lacquer or alcohol or what. There's nothing added to it. It's just the color. That's all it is. Thank you, airplanes, for interrupting me. Okay, so let's put our little exhaust pipes on. They go on the back in these two little spots right here and here. There is no left or right when it comes to these. It's just line them up and put them in. Just like so. I don't know why my lighting is kind of off. Seems a little dark today. That's okay. We'll go back to this camera here for you. I'm sure you guys are tired of seeing my face and want to see the models. That's why you tune into this channel, right? So you want to see the model kits, not my face. Just like that. Okay, so those are on. Let's face it the right way for you guys. There you go, my nice ugly looking exhaust pipes. Okay, so we got our covers. These guys are going to go on next. So the challenge is to remember which direction they go in and which one is left and which is right. So take my glasses off. I gotta pay attention to my, I believe that one goes there and that one goes there like that. Yes, okay. So there's that side and there's that side with the up facing up. There we go. Bear with me a moment here. Okay, two little tabs, but we can put a little bit more on and not have to worry about it. Got a little bit of flashing, that's fine. There we go. All lined up nicely. There's one. And two. There we go. So there's the exhaust finished. Okay. Just like that. Done. Nicely weathered. So with those put on and the skirts done, the only thing I actually have to assemble are, I got to put the hatch on. This has to go on here, like this. And I think it's safe to do that now. With the little bit of weathering that's left on it, I don't think there's going to be much harm to doing that. I don't think that's going to interfere with any of the rust and weather dust effects that I need to add, so that should be fine. And then I have this hatch for the turret. This one here. And it just gets, I'm leaving this one wide open also. Kind of just lay it down right there. So that should be fine. I'm just going to put that on there. Don't like how Alright, so that's there. And the final one is this guy. And he goes right here. And I think I want to leave him kind of in this position like that. And not fully like that. Or something. Maybe around that spot right there is good. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that ought to do, just like that. And that really technically is the finished assembled tank. Like if I were to just put it in this direction like this and then put the turret on, you could say done. Voila. I could say, hey, there you go, it's all finished. That would be a good finished tank, and you could say, hey, you could put that on your shelf and leave it just like that and have a pretty decent looking tank. Not too bad at all. But that's not where I'm going to leave it. I need to add rust. And that's where this stuff comes in. Rusting streaks. This is the first layer. Okay. As much as I want to add the rust, I don't want to go absolutely crazy with it. Okay. I don't want to go too nuts. Where did my brush go? I'm going to use a mid-sized brush. Now basically, all the spots where there's rust, I'm going to be hitting with this. And then, I will refine it a little bit with some thinner. Every spot. I'm going to do that. Every place where there's rust, we're going to go a little bit crazy with it. And you might think, why you put so much? Well, it's going to look, at first it's not going to look that great, but we're going to be refining it all, refining the look with paint, with thinner, and that's where we kind of blend it all in. And once it blends in, then it starts to really look good. looks much better. So the initial process, this initial look, doesn't look very good. It looks a little overwhelmed and too much, right? But that's why we refine it with the thinner afterwards and kind of blend it in. Especially because right now it just looks all super blotchy and not very realistic at all. The other thing we can do is add streaks, like this. Why are we adding streaks? Well, because there's going to be some spots where it just is realistic that over time rust would run down. Okay, turret is done. Let's move on to our hull. Basically any spot where I added some rust, that's what I want to do. And I want to do maybe a couple of things where maybe rust has accumulated and run down over time. Something like that, because that does happen. At this point, it doesn't even matter if your splotches even look realistic. Because you can adjust it all with the thinner and your next effects. And you can kind of use it as a little bit of a pin wash even, because you can always adjust it, the look later on. Going a little heavy on the fenders because they've had some damage to them. Not that you can see from your angle really. Under the cable, I was thinking it would be a good spot to imagine the rust accumulating on the hull. back here. Thinking our little jack stand that they got going on in the back here would probably be pretty rusty. Those things weren't really known for having their best rust inhibiting coats of paint on them. This side, all along here. There we go. That's our first kind of preliminary coat of rust. And I'm now going to blend a little bit. I'm going to change brushes, although I should stay with this one, I think. But I'm going to clean it off completely first. Chat is just as chatty as ever. Why do we call it chat? I'm not sure. Deception Man said hi, but that's about it. There's probably nobody watching me anyway. You guys on Twitch, you never watch my video. You never watch me live anyway. Okay, so I don't like. Although I could use this, I don't like using this unless I'm actually doing something clean. I would prefer to use my thinner that's dirty. So we kind of started over here, but we're going to let this dry for at least a few minutes anyway. So let's go back to the turret. The turret is dry now. And you can see my splotches, especially down in this area here. So all I'm going to do is take my brush, dip it in the thinner, and I'm just kind of going to blend it. And that's all I'm doing. Just blending it in. And go along here. And what that does is it makes it a little more uniform and makes it not quite such harsh blend. Every now and then, because you are going to be you're building up the brush with more and more of the paint. So you do want to clean the brush off every now and then, just to make sure you're not just adding more and more everywhere else. All I'm doing really is just blending it all in so it's not harsh, doesn't have all the harsh lines, and it's not quite so defined. It's almost like adding a blur effect, if I could call it that. And you're moving the color around in places. Sorry, I have to tilt it towards me because it actually creates a sheen that's shiny because of the thinner. Okay, and we basically just go around the whole thing, continuing this. There we go. There's the turret. And once again, we're still not done because I'm going to be doing this again with a lighter rust color and then blend that in. But for now, that one's done. Let's move back to our hull. We'll start on the fenders. Now, of course, depending on how long you've left it will depend on how much of this kind of sort of stippling is going to be required to get it to blend. Okay. Also depends on how much you've blotched it on there. Like, how thick is it? And you can kind of use that to your advantage because then it gives you the opportunity to maybe have it streak down, like if the rust was running down a little bit or something like that. Gives you options. course, the more you do this technique, the better you'll get at it. So obviously, when I'm building airplanes, I don't use this technique at all. This technique is actually very, very new to me. Having built mostly airplanes and only really started building tanks maybe a year ago, year and a half, this whole thing about weathering the tanks and rust effects and chipping, that's all very new to me. And so all I'm doing is trying to kind of mimic what I've learned from good old Uncle Night Shift and his YouTube channel. Let's go back here. All the techniques that he has used, that's all I'm trying to do. I've learned from him. His results are always fantastic looking and very realistic looking. And they look great. And so I'm just trying to really mimic him. The credit goes to him. If you think I'm doing a really good job of this and it looks really great, thank Night Shift. Thank Martin. He's the one that I was watching to learn this. I'm just kind of going all the way around here because it's kind of hidden. Time to clean up the brush, take some of that off so that this will blend a little better. See, I don't even mind that it's kind of flooding with all of this, because that's perfectly fine to me. To me, that looks good. We get rust that's all over the place. Remember, this tank was abandoned. They left this here. Didn't get to see a lot of action before that shell took out its wheels and took out the tracks. So they had to abandon it, and it sat here with no maintenance, nobody doing anything with it. It just sat here all by itself to just weather away. A little too much. Let's unload some of that color. Okay, I think we're at the point where we're pretty much done with this coat of rust. All right, that's done. Let's clean this brush off. Now we're going to go with the lighter corner, the lighter rust color. And for the lighter rust, I'm not going to be using this one. I'm going to use, now Vallejo calls this a wash, and that's great. We can use it as a wash. This is the light rust color. We're going to let this dry a little bit. And we'll come back to our turret. And we're going to do basically the same thing, except this is going to represent newer rust. Okay. Just do a few drops for now. This is going to be newer rust, but we're still doing the same thing. This one I'm going to do a little more sparingly. Just a little bit. Because it's going to blend in also. As you can see, it's a much more of an orangey color. Kind of want to get in here. We'll have to blend that. See, I forgot to blend that part. Okay, now like I said, I'm just kind of doing this a little more sparingly. I don't want to go crazy with this because then you do too much and it becomes a little unrealistic. So working around the same direction as before. Once again, a little sparingly. Spots. But still, there's the odd place that I want it to. Why am I choosing random spots like this? Because we're going to be blending it in. And especially on these pieces that are like metal. Well, I guess the whole thing's metal. What am I talking about? Well, these places where it's like was unprotected steel, they benefit the most from the variation. Okay, so there we go, good enough. I'm just going to leave that. I can clean it up later. And actually, I will clean it now. Brush doesn't have to be perfectly clean because we're going to be blending, but All right. Back to our thinner. Let's let this aside. Back to this now that it's had a few minutes to dry. Although some of the thicker ones, they're not really dry yet, but we can still do some blending. Again, it's just about these lighter orange ones, you almost want to blend away and get rid of them. This one is the one I forgot to blend before, so they're going to blend together. Just making sure I've got all the spots that I want. Turret looks pretty well done. I'm happy with how that looks. We're going to let that dry now. And now we'll go back to this. Starting on the fenders. Stippling and blending is the name of the game. Now you could use a stiffer brush for this, but I don't think that's really necessary. It depends. Well, it depends on your brush, really. Basically, I could almost call this finished after this, because the only thing left is the mud and the dust. Of course, how much of that you want to do is up to you completely. I've heard about guys in like modeling shows and stuff like that where they basically criticize guys who do too much of the mud. figure that the people are overdoing it. And I suppose there's something to be said about that for sure. You don't want to overdo the effect, for sure. And that's going to be it for rust. My rust is done. Rust is done. If you're done, why do you keep playing with it? Well, because there's more I want to do. I'm seeing little imperfections and I want to perfect them. Okay, so that's done. Now I'm going to clean my brush off with the lacquer thinner. Okay. Now, we can do dust effects, but I kind of don't want to. I kind of like the look of it the way it is. Obviously not with the shiny of the, you know, the gloss that is the wet thinner. I don't want that, obviously. Find my for some reason this is not blending very nicely on here as well as it should, and I don't know why. I got a blotch there I need to fix. I don't know if it's because I need to use something other than white spirits for the Vallejo wash. I might have to do some research on that. That's interesting. That's going to take a few minutes to dry because I've put it on pretty thick. The thinner, I mean. I've basically got a coating of paint thinner on there right now. And yeah, so, but that's pretty much done. Other than adding a little bit of metallicness to everything. I need to add some silver into those parts. Let's get my little brush out here. There we go. A little bit more realistic looking bullet holes in there now. And once again, clean my brush. Okay. So that is basically going to be it for this build. I basically need to hit it with a flat clear and then it's done. And I can do that right now. I'll start with the turret. Actually, I get to put some pigment on the turret first. Actually, I'll use my bigger brush. There we go. Okay. At least then they got to fire off a round or two, right? Makes sense. Before they had to get out of there. Oh, I should have done the. Let me go back and add it to the side. Okay, let's clear coat this guy first. Okay, that's all sealed in now. Nice wet clear coat on there. So while this can is basically empty. This one is brand new. Before I actually put this on, I want to do the pigment for the black in there. And now you're going to say to me, why? What happened to the idea of all the mud and everything? What happened to that? And I'm going to say, well, you're right. But I don't want to do that right now. soot. Okay, so now I can clear coat this. This is now all going to be dry. There we go. A few spots on this one that old can didn't coat very well. Not evenly anyway. There we go. And so there we have it. There is the Tiger 1, 1/35 scale by Tamiya. Kind of damaged and beat up a little bit. I'm going to turn on my other light here. And that is basically it. Ta-da. Done. Just like that. Yeehaw! Now, final thoughts. Is a decent build. Is an easy enough tank to put together. And of course, because I've got the damaged tracks on this side, I got a whole lot left over. And so that's kind of a cool thing. I would have to say tanks are not necessarily my favorite build, because doing all this rust and weathering and stuff like that, rust and dust and mud and all those effects, although they look really cool when it's all said and done, it's not my favorite thing to do. I have to admit, it's not my favorite thing to do. It's probably why I build a lot more planes, because you don't have to deal with all that stuff with airplanes, right? But the tank itself is cool. The build was pretty straightforward and pretty easy, I would say. And so would I recommend it? Yeah, I think so. This guy here, he's a cool tank, and of course I got all the history and blah blah blah. What's next? Well, what's next is probably gonna be, what's gonna be next is another Gundam, because that's what I do, right? I do Gundams. I do Gundams in between every build, although a Gundam is a build technically. Anyway, Gundam is next. That's what you're gonna see. Maybe I can start it tomorrow, maybe not, we'll see. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to take some still pictures of this thing and I'm going to upload it onto my Instagram. And you'll be able to take a look at those pictures on my Instagram by clicking on the link down in the description box below. And also in that box will be links to my Twitch channel. And on my Twitch channel you can watch me live. And you can talk to me live while I'm doing my builds, if you so choose. But it would be greatly appreciated if you do that. If you head over to my Twitch and follow me on there, you'll get notified when I go live. Unless, of course, you turn those notifications off. That's always an option, right? But anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching and all the support you guys give me. I would really love it if you hit the subscribe button. Down over here is a little subscribe button as well on the actual video. But over here on the regular side, you know, where you hit the big subscribe button, that would be really appreciated. And hit the like button if you like this stuff too. And leave a comment down below. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for coming out. And have a great day. And we'll see you on the next one.